No. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday Soul Talks, where this is like in my face. What the heck? I wanted to do this on my computer and I can't. Now I have to add a person. I am adding Michelle Ledbetter to invite sent. God, Michelle, this is like my face. I don't know why this is so... I can't squeeze it. I can't make it smaller. It's like, boom, up close and personal. Did you get my invite? Ooh, somebody's on. Hello, whoever's here. I'm trying to get Michelle connected. I don't see it. She says, oh, great. All right, I'll try it again. It says sent. Recently invited. Oh, you can't make this shit up. So it won't let me send it again because it's gray now. It's not blue to invite. Manage links. Hi, Cynthia. Nothing like being up and close, huh? Michelle, join. Or Michelle, type something. Or if you join, I will be able to, because it says underneath Cynthia's name, it says bring them on video. I'm trying, I don't see anything. Oh my. Breathe. This is real time. This is what I talk about. I don't see anything. Why can it say underneath Cynthia? Cynthia is watching. I don't know, Michelle, maybe I wanted you to join too. Look at this is literally just my face. Okay, we did this on Tuesday and it worked. So, I'm wondering, Michelle, if you go out of it, click out of it, go somewhere else. I don't know. Yeah, when I click on invite a person, it won't. I'm wondering if you get off and back on, because Cynthia's says right underneath her, it says bring them on video in blue. So I could push it right on my phone. I'm wondering if you went away, just got off. Hi, Margie. If you got off the thing completely, I'm sorry for my in your face. I mean, it is like, woo, right here. My whole head is I can't make it any smaller. Unless I push it even further away. Whoops. I don't think we're going to be able to, I don't know. But I keep saying Cynthia Fontenot is watching, but it says bring her on video. Send request. I could bring Cynthia on, but I can't bring Michelle. This tech stuff. We even practiced this week on Tuesday. We did it. It worked. today it isn't working. Michelle is watching. Okay, Michelle, it says you're watching, but there's no ad. Allow viewers to request to join your video. Ad. Send request. Oh, I think it's gonna work.
Oh my goodness, we might have done it, girl.
Yay!
So listen, I had to do it on my phone too, so I had to switch over, but I can't see you.
You can't see me, and I see me in like my whole face. I'm not even, I have to hold it as far away from me as possible. And I can
Let me see
hardly
if I.
hear you. Okay, let's ask the
Oh,
people. Do you hear Michelle? Do you guys hear her talking when she's talking?
hello, hello, hello.
Because I
Can
can
you hear me?
hardly hear you. This is
Oh,
what happened
bummer.
on Tuesday too. And my phone is all the way up. Look at my face. Oh, you don't see me.
I don't see you. Hmm.
Oh, Margie says she sees both of us. Sherry does too. Okay, but do you hear her?
Can you hear me?
So, and I'm sure they see me up close and personal. You can probably see all the. Okay, they hear you. I
Oh, they hear me good?
I can hear you enough that we can have a conversation. And Margie says she can hear both of us. I don't know why
Okay.
my face is so big in this thing.
It is. So I've got you on my computer. I can see you, but I'm hearing you on my little phone. So we can try this. No.
Well, I don't see. This isn't coming up on my page on my computer. Oh yeah, it is. My face is so big.
Your face is very big. You're like right in the camera.
Yep, it's all face. You don't see anything else but face. Anyway.
Well, girl, you're beautiful. You're
Aw,
beautiful. So
thank you. You're so sweet. You are so me. Whenever you write something or you say something and I just connect. Okay, so this is Michelle Ledbetter, for all of you that don't know. She has had a near-death experience. And when she talks about it, she's gone. She's gone. All right, let's try this again. This is ridiculous. It won't let me. It won't let me. It won't let me invite her. I hear both and see both. Sherry, okay. It won't let me invite her. I don't know where she went. And my computer, I have to turn the audio off. Both and see both. All right, Michelle is watching. Yes, send request.
Oh my goodness.
That was a different way. I did it differently. All right.
Okay, I think I'm back. Oh,
You are back.
okay.
And it's still, oh wow, on me. I wonder if, no. Anyway, okay. You're just gonna have to see a big face and a little face or a normal face doing this. Anyway, I can't put it any further away from me and still hold it. If I do it normal, I have to put it so far away. All right. So, thanks for hanging in there, you guys. This is, anyway, Michelle is the closest in her writing and her being to me. Every interview I watch of yours, you are so me. It's so weird. I don't know, because I'm able to watch all your videos. You don't see, you don't have, there's no videos. Well, I do have one. I was interviewed once. But they want to know what how you felt when you had your near-death experience.
Okay. So can you guys hear me? Oh, Lori, I can't hear you, hon.
You can't hear me?
Oh, nope, I just heard you. It's kind of in and out. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn my computer off. That might be interfering. Okay, I'm just going to go with my phone and hope that you guys are there because I can't see you. I can see me. So we'll go ahead and get started, okay? We'll just do the best we can, and if we have to do a repeat sometime in the future, we will.
Oh,
So
I will when we can get
okay.
this. Everybody's saying yes, 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 so everything's good.
Okay, wonderful. So how did I feel during my NDE? Well, mine was very untraditional. It was a distressing NDE in the beginning. And though it was very frightening. It was very frightening for me. So I was traveling from Montana to get to a new assignment as a hospice nurse in Texas. The weather was just terrible. It was a terrible snowstorm. And I had been on the road for about 11 hours. I was watching truck lights to stay on the road because the snow was just blowing sideways to keep myself. I couldn't see the lanes, so I was watching these truck lights, and he went up over a pass, and I missed the pass and went off an embankment. And when I went off the embankment, um, I had an L1 burst fracture, a broken spine, and a traumatic brain injury. I was traveling with my little dog, and all I remember before the accident was thinking to myself, I think I'm in trouble. I had been feeling off that whole day, and I had been taking medication for sleep, Xanax, and I had run out of my prescription while I was traveling, and so I was off of it for about 4 days. And as a nurse, you would think that I would know that you can't stop that medication without having some sort of side effect. I did not know, and I've been a nurse for over 30 years. And so I do share a little bit of this just to let people know that you cannot go off those sorts of medications without some sort of adverse effect. And what I found out later was I actually had a seizure, is what took me off the road. When I woke to the paramedics trying to get me from the car, and I had a profound sense of peace. It's actually very hard to articulate it, but where you think that I would be distraught, I felt loved, I felt held, I was not afraid. The paramedics that picked me up were angelic in their way of being, and it was just, I felt so held and so loved and so supported. We went to the first hospital where they did imaging, and they recognized that my fractured spine was not stable, and they were going to have to do surgery that evening. They couldn't do her where we were because we weren't at a trauma center. But before we left, the first little bit of fear that I had was they were talking about they were going to have to impound my dog because I'm on over in Colorado and I live in Florida. There was nobody there that could take my dog. And this nurse that didn't know me from anyone came over and she said, "Hun, don't worry. I've got your dog. I'm not sure how long you're going to be here, but after work, I'll take her home with me." And so I just started to feel this divinity of and godliness in people. I really saw it. And I felt very peaceful. Although I was a little shaken when they told me they were going to have to impound my dog. That was probably the first little bit of fear that popped in. But as soon as she told me she had her, I didn't even think twice, even though she was a complete stranger. I just felt so supported and everything was going to be okay. So they transfer me to the trauma unit. I meet with the surgeon. He tells me he's done some astronomical amount of surgeries, like 10. And I had another little panic episode and I thought, oh my gosh, this guy, it's approaching the midnight hour and he's going to go into my spine. I tried to talk him out of it, but he said we had to get going. We didn't have time to wait. I do not remember anything after that. And I don't remember anything for about 5 days after that while I was in ICU. So this altered reality came in during that time. Time is very elusive. It's like everything is happening at once, but there's still um, a it's not time. It's all happening at once, but there's still a sequencing of events, if that makes sense. I presented in what appeared to be a warehouse setting. It was very dark. It was very dingy. Had a cold, damp atmosphere to it. And when I felt the presence of my children, and I turned to invite them to come with me. I didn't know where I was going or what I was doing, but when I turned to look at them, they gave me this look. They didn't speak to me, but in my mind, whatever was going on in there, I heard them and felt them say, "Mom, you've messed this up and we're just not interested." So panic started to rise. They walked out this heavy door that had a window on it. So I walked over to the door to see if I could go with them. I went to open it and it was locked. And the panic and the fear started to come up again, the confusion. Why are they leaving me? And where in the hell am I? It was a very overwhelming sense of fear and confusion. When I looked out the window and they were walking away, it was kind of like, it takes a little bit of time to integrate this stuff. But now when I look at it, it was almost like they could not go on this voyage with me. This was something I had to do on my own. And so I turned back into the room. I'm still very scared, very confused about where I am and what is happening. And I don't even remember at this point that I've had an accident. And the next thing I noticed is like a film or a scene started to pop up, and it was my life as a child. And in my growing up years, I came up in a very challenging home environment. My father raised me for the first 7 years by himself. And then he met my stepmother, who he married, and bless his heart, he was a broken man himself, and so he had shared with me that when I was being born, that my birth mother had passed, and so I believed that. But we move into this new family, and it's a little bit of an adjustment. I'm excited in the very beginning. I'm 7 years old, and I've got this new family. And very quickly, it started to change. Some of my stepmother's family were responsible for some sexual abuse, and my father was abusive as well. And so, the lens from which we, in our formative years, are exposed to, I did not know this, but they really give us a lens and a perspective of how we see life. So being that child at 14, my father says that we're going to speak to my mother. She calls me on the phone. It was the only time I did get to speak to her. But you can imagine, as a 14-year-old, I felt like I was the extra one in the family. They had a son, and so I just felt like the extra. And love was not something that was expressed in my family the way that I understand it now. It was very performance-based. It was very dependent on your behavior and that sort of thing. And it wasn't that unconditional love. It was kind of like the hugs and the pat on the back, you're good. So I really honestly did not know what unconditional love was. I married at 19, and I know I'm skipping around here, bear with me. I married very young. I was married for 18 years. So going into this altered reality experience that I had, I thought I was relatively normal. I was doing pretty much the same thing other people were doing. I had been married. I was a nurse. But I was not good at feeling my emotion from my childhood. So I got into some drinking, and that was something that I battled on and off pretty much my whole life. And so when this accident came up, I was just doing the grind of life like most people do, getting up in the morning, doing the job. Everything seemed like it was a grind. And I felt like there was just something missing, like a hole in my heart, right? The hole in my love cup. And although I would have things that would come to me and fill me up, children and all those wonderful things that would always leave. And so when I left the marriage, I was essentially not realizing that my skeletons from my past, excuse me for a moment, were popping up, and I did not know it. And it just gave me a sense of there's got to be more than this. There has got to be more than this. And I was just felt like I had a hole in my heart. So in this vision, I'm being taken back through my childhood abuse. And it is very scary. It's, I don't understand why I'm having to go back through it again. It was very detailed. And I didn't see any of these beautiful things that people see in their near-death experiences, as far as the tunnel and the golden light and that sort of thing. So as I'm moving through this and I'm very afraid, I am feeling all those emotions that go with being a victim of abuse. I'm feeling the confusion, the sadness, and I'm just so confused and I don't know what in the world is happening. And then the scene changes and I see an old patient of mine who was HIV positive, and he was laying in a bed with his arms overhead, and it was a very distressing visual. It looked like he was very being tortured. It was, and I don't like to go into a lot of the detail because it's very hard for me to share exactly what I saw, but it was gruesome, it was sad, it was scary. And I I began to think that, maybe I am in hell. And so this fear just kept compounding. And I noticed there was a little girl and a little boy that was also had joined me. And so I went to the little girl, not knowing who they were. And as I approached her and looked in her eyes, we had an exchange and we went through her life review. And when I tell you that mine was challenging, hers was so much worse than mine. And so I'm not only in my spirit body feeling all the emotions that I'm feeling for her. Hold on, sometimes I get teary on this. But I also was in my spirit body and her spirit body. So I am feeling her emotions of what she's going through. And it's just so confusing and it's so very scary. And I just so want it to end. And then it kind of segues into this little boy that's with me. The same thing. I look over and I look into his eyes, and the same thing. I go through this really traumatic upbringing for him. A very distant mother, that bullying, abuse, and feeling his emotion as we're moving through his timeline, feeling my emotion as we're moving through this timeline was just more than words can express as far as the emotion. And so I'm overwhelmed in what I'm seeing and feeling, and all of a sudden I start to feel a warmth at my feet. And it starts to move up my body, and as it moves up my body, it kind of forces me to look up. Now, the whole time that I'm going through this, it's a very gray scale. There's no color in this. But when I look up, the roof of this warehouse setting starts to crack. And through the cracks, I see light coming. It's a very brilliant light that's kind of coming through. And the tiles start to lift. And I see this very bright, brilliant, golden, it's not a light that I've ever seen in this reality, but it's very bright. And because I am so in my fear and I feel this heat that's rising, my mind goes to, I am in hell. I'm in hell. And that is lava that's coming in to just take me out. So I bent over, bracing for it, saying profanity and just please make this quick. And the next thing I know, now I have not had any kind of pain up until this point, but the next thing I know, so I see this bright light coming in, I'm bent over, I'm bracing for what's coming next, and then I start to feel this excruciating pain in my back and in my chest, and I cannot catch my breath. And I recognize I am laying in the hospital bed, in the ICU. But I still have all of this from where I was just at on my heels. And I am in so much pain. I can't catch my breath. I look over into the right corner, and there is this beautiful African American lady sitting there. And I asked her, I said, who are you? What are you doing here? And she said, I'm here to help you. And I got a sense of relief, like, thank God I'm going to get some help. And all of a sudden, she started to blend into my Caucasian sister, who I'd only met a couple times. And so I'm starting to get confused again, but I see her as my sister. I thought, okay, she's family. She's definitely going to help me. So I'm like, we got to get out of here. Like, we got to get going. And I can tell that I'm getting excited, and I am in so much pain. I can't breathe. I'm just so much pain. And so I'm just very, very confused. And I kind of go in and out, and I slowly start to come back around. And the next thing I remember is I wake up and I see this big eyeball in the corner. And I thought, oh my God, here we go again. But I didn't know what in the world was happening. But what I found out later is, because of my traumatic brain injury, they reserve sedation and pain medication as much as possible because they want to make sure that you've got your neuro component coming back. So as I'm moving through this altered reality of my younger years, and the life review of these two children, I am acting it out, and I'm getting out of the bed. Now I've just had surgery, two rods and the wires, and I've been cemented together, and I am trying to run out of the hospital. So they had to have a human person to keep me safe, to keep me in the bed. But I had advanced, and now they just had this big eyeball. So there was no longer a person. But at first, when I saw it, I thought, oh, we're going back into some altered reality. But at that point, I slowly started to come out, and I didn't have any more of those horrible visions. I did not speak of this to anyone. First of all, I didn't want people to think that I was such a bad person, that I'd gone to hell. I really did not acknowledge my upbringing, my past. It's one of those things that, it happened, you kind of put it in the back burner, and you just want to be normal and move through life.
Because
But what I
you're
recognize,
blaming. You're
yeah,
blaming yourself. You're thinking it's your fault.
absolutely,
And you've been
absolutely. There
bad.
is a lot of guilt. Yeah, there's a lot of guilt. And then also, these people were very that were well, let me back up for a second. So I said nothing. I end up going home, and I go down the rabbit hole. I cannot handle these emotions that keep coming up after I get home of what had happened there. So I started drinking again, and I got addicted to the pain medication. And my best friend had been diagnosed with cancer. He was at the end stage of his cancer, and so we were able to spend some time together. As I'm recouping, we spent actually 14 months together, and it was magical because he started to open my mind to a new way of maybe seeing the spiritual component and God and that sort of thing. And although I was a hospice nurse for almost a little less than 20 years at that point, I knew that there was a spiritual component, but because of my upbringing and my abusers being involved in the church, I was very much tainted away from what I was taught as what God was. And I thought it was some sort of entity that was judging, and that I was going to probably, in my mind, my behaviors were going to cause me to have a terminal terrible time or whatever. So those were things that were obviously in my mind. My best friend did end up passing away, but during that time, I started to open my mind to a different way of seeing things. And I was at a point where I had no job. I had no money because I didn't have insurance when I had that accident. I was in between. I wasn't quite there 3 months. And so I was really in a really dark place, and I had been drinking, and I was addicted to that pain medication. And I realized that if I did not do something, that it was going to take me out. There was no way I could survive at the rate that I was going. And so I decided that I was going to try this meditation thing. And so I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but I would get very still and very quiet, and I would ask life, I would ask God, please help me. And I just kind of surrendered into it. And I hear a voice in this meditation that guides me to say, how can I see this differently? And what is this trying to teach me? And it almost granted me grace and a softness that I
You are
could go
the
back.
best.
Ugh, yeah. And look back at what happened. So one day during a meditation, I was taken back through what had happened, and I went back to the little girl, and I went back to the little boy. And it was shared with me in this meditation that they were my abusers. And when that happened, I had so much compassion for what they had gone through that this it's hard to explain, but this unconditional love that I had never recognized myself in my 53 years of life started to rise in me. And the only thing I could do was just extend it to them. And once that happened, Lori, the weight that I did not even know I was carrying just lifted. And it was the most freeing thing to see them as individuals that had their own journey and their own wounds, and they were looking through that filter. I understood why it all happened, and I was able to release it, and it was like the greatest gift ever. And so I continued to tap into that came to me, that divine connection of life source energy. People call it God, people call it universal love, consciousness, whatever you want to name that. I call it God now, and it looks very different to me. It is that energy that breathes all of us. We are all connected by the breath of life. It is that energy that blooms flowers, and it just started to feel and look different to me. And it is absolute love from which we came, right? And so, as a hospice nurse, I there's something called terminal agitation. And as I worked through this, and this has been 6 years in the making, right? It takes some time to untangle it, it takes some time to look at it. But I realized that I needed to share it because there was some valuable information here as far as, again, I didn't even realize the lens that I was looking through until I was given the opportunity to look kind of back at it. And once that weight was completely lifted and they no longer had a hold on me, and I loved them unconditionally just for the part they played. Because what I recognize is that I don't think I would be where I am now if I didn't experience the contrast. One time in a meditation, I got this vision that we are all absolutely the light of God, that God, to experience life itself, we are an extension doing this journey. And the contrast is a gift. It's so that we can remember who we are and move back to love. Because somebody had shared something like, if you're in a nice, cozy cottage and you're drinking your tea with your loved one and you're sitting by the fireplace, it's just so yummy and delicious, but you only know that because you were out freezing in the cold at one point. So that contrast that we think is so terrible that we all try to avoid is actually a gift for us. And those emotions, those negative emotions, those things that we carry are God's gift. They're our internal guidance. And so when we're on that low vibration, we're actually looking at through our wounded eyes. And if we will allow God to shine the light on our wounds, we can look at them from a different perspective. So what I was also shown is that light that was coming through that I thought was lava was actually the light of God. It was the light of love that wanted, in our soul. I believe that all of our wounds are held in our soul, not that the soul is attached to that. But I don't believe that we leave this world without dumping the junk, because the only thing that we take back with us is the love that we came with. That's all that goes back with us. And so I see it a lot of times in hospice, and it's called terminal agitation. Maybe we can talk about that. But I want to give you a chance to speak because I've been babbling. Do you have any?
Oh my God, there was so much that was coming up here as you're talking. And anybody who knows me, that was monumental for me to zip it. There's so
Congratulations. I have a hard time with that too.
there's so much juice in what you're saying, because all of us as little kids take on subconsciously that we're not good enough. Something's wrong with us. That's literally a thought, because when our brains are just developing, they're slowed down. There's not enough thoughts to make that ticker tape go like it's going normally. Constant
Right.
thoughts. It's that. So it's going to lay down all of these. I watched Joe Dispenza this past week, and he says the brain waves are so slowed down when we're young that the subconscious mind, it lays down these programs. I'm not good enough. I can do it wrong. Big boys don't cry. uh, children are seen and not heard. All this stuff just gets put in there, and we're reacting to that as adults. We don't even know that's in there, and we're just fighting through life, believing we're the victim of the ones who are blaming us. Yeah, our parents. We're the victims of them. When you saw clearly that they had the same programming, of course we're not going to do it right for them because they couldn't do it right for their parents, and on it goes. But
On it
we,
goes.
being
Yeah.
open to this, we're breaking the cycle.
Absolutely. Call it the cycle breakers, right? And that truly is, it truly is what it's all about, I believe. Coming back to the love that we are. I did not recognize that the love was within us. I didn't realize that we were actually divinely connected to the life source energy, God itself. And I did not realize that that energy is within us. I was always looking outside for validation. I was always looking outside for help, but it's actually within us. And those childhood wounds that pop up from our conditioning, um, those those wounds distort how we see life, and it starts to cover up the light that we all come in with, right? You know, you think about a newborn child and they're just pure love energy, but as we are conditioned, it kind of gets covered up. And that's kind of how I felt like I had a bunch of leaves over my heart, and there was a light that was trying to shine, and it might come through a little sliver, but I couldn't get those leaves off. But that day in meditation, all the leaves came off, and I am able to understand what it means to be connected to that heart space and move from there. And so it's available to absolutely everybody. This isn't some magical trick or something special that I have. It's available to everyone. Everybody has the divinity within them. It's just accessing it.
It's just being open to realizing the sun. That's what that sun is always there. It's just a thought covering it. The clouds the clouds are your thoughts, which are covering that light that you are, the love, the God that you are. Because we're taught that we're beneath God. God is judging us and we're going to go to hell. Literally, I believe hell is right here on earth when you're believing what you're thinking. That you're bad, something's
Absolutely.
wrong, I'm going to hell. That's why people are so, when at the end of death, they're so afraid of death because they believe they're going to hell. They're going to
Absolutely.
burn in hell for all eternity because how bad, because everybody believes that they're bad in their core, and
Exactly.
it's not true. The complete
It's so not true.
opposite is true.
It is the opposite, yeah. It is definitely an upside down way of thinking. Love is where it's at. And even, where before I might have had problems with people, their energy or not like them for whatever, they were just reflecting my shit, right? Like they were just a mirror for me.
That's
But
exactly
now
it.
what I can do, yeah, I can see, where before I would be reactionary to people if they triggered something within me. I recognize that if I'm triggered, it's coming from within me. It doesn't have anything to do with them. So, but I also recognize if they're triggered, that it has nothing to do with me unless I own it. And so I can see people separate. I can see them doing life through their wounds, and it takes judgment out of it, and it takes the compassion moves forward. And I don't have to be right about things where before, we want to stay in our rightness because we want to, it validates us somehow. But it's just a much softer place to come from. It truly is a divine connection with the love that's right there within you. And it's accessible to everybody, and it gets covered up, but you can just surrendering to it, and asking life to show you a different way of seeing whatever it is that you might be going through. It will come to you. It might not come right that same day, but it will absolutely come to you if you just listen to the heart, listen to your intuition. And it comes up from nowhere. I mean, of course, it doesn't come from nowhere, but it doesn't come from my logical mind. The
Right.
things that help me don't come from my thinking mind. It'll come from somewhere else. And it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think of it that way. But that's kind of how it works.
That's exactly how it works. You'll be in the middle
Yeah.
of, I don't know, cleaning the toilet or something, and then boom. Well, what came to me today was getting ready was, oh, it was profound. And that's another thing. They're fleeting, and then your mind wants to hold on to them, or who? Well, something wants to hold on to. What was that one? It was like, if I give credit. Okay, So things are changing in people's lives around me. There's, I'm seeing a lot of positivity in the people that that I'm around. And so see my mind saying that's because they're around me. But this morning came, if they are coming from, they're becoming more self-aware, and it's because of me, then if they're not self-aware, that's because of me. That whole thinking process of it being because of me, that's bullshit. That's all thought. The
Right.
me, look at me. That little me needs to be seen and heard, and got to be better, because it doesn't feel like it feels like it's a piece of shit, basically. It
Yeah.
believes it's not worthy of anybody's love.
Absolutely. And I did want to just bring this up too, because a lot of people are going through some challenging times right now, right? And and we look at those things that, like, I recently lost my job as a hospice nurse, and I would have never imagined that I would be in this position right now. And the very first thing that we want to do is we want to go down that rabbit hole and become victims to it, and be pissed off at the people that this happened. Why is this happening to me? But what I know for sure since my event is, even in those really challenging times, a job loss, whatever is happening, losing a loved one, whatever is happening, those things are actually happening for us and not to us. And if we can open our mind to that, I know that I would have never left hospice. It's my passion. But I know that it is happening because I'm being asked to step into living what I was taught during my NDE. So I am practicing it real in real life, and I really am staying connected to my heart, and I'm leaning into life. And you can't make this shit up. The things that are coming to me, I would have never imagined. And it took me sitting back and allowing it instead of going after it, and getting out of my mind, and just knowing that God's got me. Of course, there's a lot of fear that comes up with money and all those things, but the bottom line is, if you're going through a challenge, it's a gift. It is totally a gift, and you just have to be able to recognize that. And when you tap into the heart and know that God is working for you, not against you, then life just starts to flow. You get in the flow, and life becomes so flipping fun.
Mm.
It's just all those things that weighed you down before, all those things that would cause me to drink. I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss any more life. And so I just invite everybody to if you're hearing this, if you're going through a hard time, if you're stuck up in the head, I promise you can move through this too. And Lori and I are both here to help you.
Definitely. I always have it out there. Just message me. It's my favorite. My favorite thing is have to talk to somebody for literally 10 minutes. Actually, I met somebody on the beach yesterday. Oh, I don't know if she's here. She said she might be on. Her name was Deb. Anyway, hi Deb, if you're on here. Um, to help somebody in when they come back and say, oh, I never thought of it that way. Those are music to my ears.
Yeah.
It's music,
Yeah.
those words. When they say, I never thought of it that way. You know that there's a shift going on, because we're so used to filtering it through, I've done it wrong, that it
Yeah,
changes
absolutely.
everything. Now, I heard somebody say, okay, so all of our minds believe we are victims of life. They're out to get me, poor me. And that's usually what we're complaining about. We get so comfortable in complaining about everything about life. And that's what our conversations are about. Somebody said, and then I changed it too, because after Byron Katie's school, it's happening for me, not to me. That was huge for me. But I just heard, tell me what you think when you hear this. It's not even happening for me, it's happening through me.
Ah, yes. Yes, actually, that resonates very deeply, because life is being lived through you, right? God's um, our experience of life. Again, I think that we are being lived. If that makes sense.
We are being
And
lived.
our
That's it.
And our life experience is so that we can remember who we are. We just forgot that we are so divinely connected. And this world that we live in kind of keeps us entrapped in that, looking outside of ourselves for happiness and peace. And it's totally within. It's totally within. It's been here the whole time. And when you recognize that you are being lived by the energy of God, yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh my God, it just your thing has froze. I don't you're not moving anymore, but I'm still hearing you. Um and I don't know if what's going on for everybody else, but um oh, there was something else that was triggered. It's gone. Ah, we could talk forever.
I know. I know. You know, the other thing I wanted to share is I didn't recognize that my connection with people was so distorted. I thought I was relatively normal before my whole NDE, but after that altered reality experience and the awareness that's come, I recognized that my connection was even distorted with people. I was essentially afraid of people, and I was spending so much time in my head if I was engaging with people or in a crowd about what people were thinking about me, what I was thinking about them, that I was missing the moments, man, that were happening right there before me because I was so distorted in my connection with people. And honest to goodness, I had no idea. I had no idea until I knew, until I felt what it felt like to release everybody of all the stuff that I think they're responsible for, which they're not. But once I was able to do that and recognize what unconditional love was, even loving the villains in your story because they're helping create who you are. They're helping you to become the best version of yourself if you so choose to tap into that. So yeah, it's amazing the things that you discover about yourself. And honesty is a really it was hard for me in the beginning to get really honest about some of the things that I had done that caused pain to other people. And I felt those, believe me, I felt things that I had done in um, in my messed up thinking, in my victim thinking, that hurt other people. And I felt what it felt like to be the other person. And so, um, I do believe that I know for sure the only thing that we take back is love. And so unpacking the thing that's keeping our light from shining, I think it's super important to try and do that now while we're here. Because if we don't, at end of life, it happens. Nothing goes back with you but love. And so there's something called terminal agitation that differs very much from a visioning and in terminal agitation, what I totally believe now, I had seen it happening before, but I never really knew what it was about. And we would give medication and we would, try to help people through it. But now that I've been through it myself, I know what that is, they appear anxious and they are picking at their clothes and they're trying to get out of the bed like I was. But those wounds are being raised from the belly of the soul for the light of love and God to shine on them so that you can see them from a different perspective. Um, and so that, yeah, that's a really powerful thing. And um, when people are moving through that, it is their truth, right? And people want to put them back in the bed and they might get upset with them because they're misbehaving, but they can't help it. It's their truth. They're moving through that. And this junk's got to go. So if somebody is moving through that terminal agitation, just hold sacred space for them. Let them, know that is their truth. Don't try and take them out of that, because when we do try and move somebody out of something that they're moving through, they can get confused, and we can make it actually a little bit more difficult for them. But once they do release that, the dying process is magical and beautiful, and to be in the presence of that and not be afraid of it truly is something that I cannot articulate. It's experiential. You have to be there. But it is magical to see the source energy of soul release from the human form with just the love and return to that light of love. It's a beautiful thing. But if you're moving through a place where either you are going through a terminal disease and you're having a bunch of stuff come up, or you're watching somebody else go through it, it's okay. And again, if you guys have any questions, any help on how to manage that and move through it, please reach out to me and I'll be happy to help you.
Mm, yeah. My mom died last February, not this one, the one before, and she faced it head on. And I've now come to see that they call it what do they call that? Just before they die the day or two before their, uh, it's a
The rally? A
rally.
rally?
They rally. Yes, they rally. Well, I see because the thoughts come up of, because my mother was so focused, her whole life was focused on lack of money, which she pushed onto me. I picked up myself, there's not enough money. And when she knew that the end, they were going to unplug, she was going to die. There was no, she was surrendered to it. She was ready to die. Every time a thought came up of the future and lack of money, there was no more future. So that energy draining of, oh my God, no money, I'm not going to be able to, the future tied with no money takes away your energy from now. So she could keep that energy. She had so much energy at the end. It was
Yeah.
so cool. Not the very end, right before she died. It was beautiful. Holding her hand the whole time, and when she opened up, that's another thing. When they say the eyes are the window to the soul, it's truth. Because uh, when they unplugged everything at midnight, because she didn't want to die on my granddaughter's birthday, so we waited till midnight. We were all in ICU, my sister and I and her, and she was so at peace and peaceful. She literally was at peace. She was quiet, just calm. And then in the early morning hours, my sister had left, and she woke up, her eyes opened, and I went, oh, Mom, I didn't think I was going to see you again. Even though I was looking at that body the whole time, I wasn't seeing her. The eyes. I had an experience. I went to see the movie Sinners last week, and that was a crazy, I don't even know what that was still. But there was a little boy at the ticket counter, and he was around his grandmother's legs with his littler brother, and he was just agitated. He just was bored or whatever, and because I don't know what she was doing, but it took forever. And all of a sudden, he looked at me, and I locked eyes with him. I locked one because I noticed it's not eyes; just one eye will connect with the eye on the other side, and we held it for a second, and then he was uncomfortable. We're talking, he must have been either 3 or 4. And he was uncomfortable, but then he wanted to look back. He wanted to look back at me. And then he wouldn't. And I just sent him love. I just went within. I said, you have me. I was just saying it to him. All of a sudden, he starts grabbing his grandmother's legs, and he's hugging her, and he starts having fun with his brother. His energy changed. So when we went inside, there was another little boy on the floor, and we had to go by him around the corner. And I caught his eye, and I kept he never looked away, and neither did I. That was the coolest. I've never done that with anybody. He was on the floor, and I literally followed, and then he followed. It was so cool. And when I got out of sight, I just went like this and give him a big smile. Woo! Just really remembering your dreams.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oops, I'm losing.
What?
I can't hear you very well. You're kind of breaking up.
Oh, you're very quiet too, but I've been able to follow everything. You've been coming in and out here and there. I don't know. Anyway, it's been about an hour.
Wow.
There has to be a way we can do this on our computers. There has to be. I've seen.
We're gonna work on it. We're gonna get our little tech minds going and figure it out. We'll do this again.
Because God, there's so much that I'm going to watch it again, and I'm going to write down the things while you were talking, what came to me, so we can do this again. And
absolutely,
and I won't be so big, and everything is going to be the way it's supposed to be. Obviously, this was supposed to be this way. Obviously, but it's
Right.
opened to a lot more that we can talk about.
Absolutely. And the people that are ready to hear this message, sometimes our beliefs get in the way um, of
Always.
allowing us to look at different things. You're right, always. But the people that are ready to hear this, that are curious, that are struggling through life, and they know that there's got to be a different way. Those people are going to hear it, even through all of our blunders, even through our big face, our little face, whatever. They'll hear it. But we will definitely get together and do it again.
All
We'll
right.
practice our text.
Yes, we'll figure out this tech stuff. All right, girlfriend. I love
All right.
you and I love
I
everybody
love you.
else. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for inviting me. We'll do it
Okay.
again. Bye now.
All right. Bye bye.